This is the new Avalon TRD. Yes, really, please try to contain your laughter. This is a TRD version of the Toyota Avalon full-size family sedan. Toyota invited me out here to Texas Motor Speedway to drive this new vehicle. They say due to the success of the TRD brand, they want to expand that into their lineup of family sedans, and thus the Camry and Avalon get that treatment. So, is a TRD Avalon worth your while? Well, let's find out. The most notable thing about the Avalon on surface level is the TRD specific body kit that includes a bespoke front splitter thing going on here, like little chin splitters, which poke out quite aggressively. Then you see these little side strakes here beneath the doors. There are TRD specific wheels, as well as the brake calipers being painted red. The rear bumper gets a little diffuser element along with some TRD tailpipes, which is actually a full TRD catback exhaust. Don't forget the requisite TRD badges, as well as a slightly more aggressive rear lip spoiler. It's all standard fare under the hood. This is the Toyota 3.5 liter V6, which is unchanged from the standard Avalon. Interestingly, Toyota is so confident in the dynamics of this vehicle, they invited me to take it on the Autocross course first. So let's go take Grandpa's family sedan to the Autocross course. This ought to be fun. Hello there, you joined me in a 2020 Toyota Avalon Touring. And I am on an Autocross course, which is a very odd place for a Toyota Avalon. But that's okay, because we're here to see the difference dynamically between a standard Avalon and the new Avalon TRD. Now, the Avalon TRD, much like its new Camry TRD cousin, features stiffer springs, 10% stiffer in the front, 15% stiffer in the rear, retuned shock absorbers, bigger sway bars, bigger brakes, and a slightly wider wheel and tire package, as well as a minor aerodynamic upgrade. So this standard Avalon, I'm actually pretty surprised by how dynamic it feels. The transmission feels pretty sharp. You know, it's actually able to hold itself in second gear. The V6 engine also feels pretty good. I mean, this thing hustles around pretty nice for a full-size sedan. It actually is So you see that? I was really late on that transition, that right-left transition. And the car itself actually felt pretty good. I really did feel like the biggest limiting factor was the front tires in this vehicle. Honestly, dynamically, I'm pretty surprised, but the Avalon, base model for base model, does feel sharper than the Camry XSE with the same V6 engine. Okay, now I'm in the new Avalon TRD. Let's see what this thing's got. Well, this is doing the same thing the Camry was doing, where it's intermittently just shifting up for no obvious reason. That's very disappointing, considering the standard Avalon did not do that. Yeah, right now I'm in fourth gear for some reason. And I'm going 40 miles an hour, full throttle. Look, I'm full throttle, it's just not downshifting. So I hit the paddle, but it didn't give me the gear, it's just saying no. That's disappointing. You know, I have it in sport and all that. It just doesn't seem to matter. Look, there it did it again. Just give me second gear. This whole course is a second gear course, and I'm hitting the paddle. There. Oh, no, there. It had second for a second and shifted up into third again for no reason there. I put it in second. There. No, shift into third again. Yeah, that's really disappointing. Interestingly, in terms of dynamics, I really feel no difference between this and the standard Avalon. It kind of just feels the same, which is weird. This should just feel better, but it doesn't. Okay. There, shifted into third again at 4,000 RPM. What is that? That's garbage. It's like I have it in the sport mode. I have the shifter in sport. There, it did the same thing again. Just give me manual control. I have everything is off. Everything is in the sportiest mode. I don't understand what the deal is here with this transmission. That's a real shame. But that's kind of my overarching impression of this whole car now, is that if you ask for full throttle, it's just gonna keep shifting up into higher gear. Like, why is it shifting up into fourth gear at 40 miles an hour? That just seems like insanity to me, especially for a sporty model. The standard car didn't do that. But it just seems like this transmission, I guess, is, there, it did it again. It just seems totally hit and miss, where it kind of just does whatever it feels like. You know, one car was fine. Well, no, half the cars are fine. Half the cars are just completely random garbage. There, it did it again. I have traction control and everything turned off, stability control off. I have the car in sport mode. I have the transmission in sport. Yeah, the transmission's a real letdown, I guess. Kind of depends on which car you get. Some work fine and some just don't work. As far as the differences, the exhaust pretty much sounds the same, though I can't go over about 4,000 RPM, so who knows. The exhaust is kind of a wash. I think the TRD looks better, obviously, but the suspension differences are subtle at best. I'm actually really more surprised by how good dynamically the standard Avalon Touring is versus this car. This kind of just seems like a letdown. There, it just shifted into fourth gear. Why? So, the Autocross is well and good, but we all know that literally no one who owns a Toyota Avalon is gonna go autocrossing with it, so it has to work on the real roads, which is where I am right now. I need to preface this by saying that Toyota also supplied a contemporary Toyota Avalon Touring, which is kind of the higher end of the normal Avalons. So I kind of have driven that vehicle back to back with this for perspective's sake. Just like that vehicle, like I said, the 3.5 liter V6 under the hood's unchanged in that car, so that's 301 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque, and is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission and front-wheel drive. No, the TRD changes are all about the chassis and suspension. So the ride height is 15 millimeters lower, that's 0.6 of an inch, thanks to slightly shorter, stiffer springs, 10% stiffer in the front, 15% stiffer in the back, as well as retuned shock absorbers. Additionally, Toyota's given this thing 27 millimeter solid sway bars front and rear for increased roll resistance. I mentioned those bespoke TRD wheels. They're also 19 inches in diameter, kind of like the Avalon Touring, but obviously they are a TRD specific pattern. They're also half an inch wider with a slightly more aggressive wheel offset, which pushes them further out in the fender lining, kind of making the fitment of the wheels look more aggressive and purposeful. And we can't forget the brakes now that I'm coming to a stop. The TRD model trades out the standard single piston front calipers for a dual piston caliper set up with larger front vented rotors. The rear brakes, I believe, are the exact same. They're just painted red to match. So I think Toyota's put themselves in an interesting spot with the Avalon TRD, because the Avalon has one of the oldest average car buyer transactions of any brand out there. The average age of a person buying a brand new Toyota Avalon is over 65 years old. And so they're trying to change that with this TRD model and trying to bring in a younger audience who maybe want a full-size sedan, but don't want to get associated with owning a grandpa car. Has that worked? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag for me, especially having driven that Avalon Touring model back to back with this. You see, the two cars are almost identically priced. This is $43,200, I believe, or $43,300. I'll correct that in the edit. And the Avalon Touring is $42,500. $500. So they're actually right around the same money. It's like really close. However, this TRD model is based on a less contented version of the Avalon than that top-of-the-line Touring, which means that on the inside, you get less tech and less goodies. It has a less pleasant-to-look-at infotainment screen. The interior is a bit more basic. And crucially, and since it's 105 degrees outside in Texas right now, while the Touring model has heated and cooled seats, it just has heated seats, which is no good for me. Though, I think that's missing the point, because the biggest change between these two cars is the suspension. This has the upgraded TRD Sporty suspension, and I think that's a miss. The Touring Avalon has a standard adjustable suspension system. It's an adaptive suspension with 3 different drive modes: Eco, Normal, and Sport, which gives you very different driving experiences. You know, obviously, if you're on a sporty road, you can put it in Sport. If you want to just commute and be comfortable, you can put it in Eco, and it becomes more comfy. Versus this is just fixed. This suspension is only one way. It is how it is. And so if you like that, well, that's good for you. But I think for an Avalon, I actually prefer the way the Touring model rides. It seems to be more comfortable and better able to soak up irregularities in the pavement. And interestingly, from that Autocross video, if you watch, I actually said that the Touring seems to actually handle better than this car, at least in my opinion. I think this might be a bit faster than the Touring model, but it's not really perceptible for a normal person, which is interesting. Now, this is technically a limited production vehicle. Toyota projects they're going to produce about 2,000, maybe 2,500 of these things all in, and then they're gone. So, should you buy one? That's really the question here. And I'm going to go with a solid no on that. Because for near as makes no difference, the same money, you can get the Avalon Touring, which also comes on big 19-inch wheels and has quad tailpipes that basically looks almost as cool as this thing. And the nicer interior, and crucially the the more comfortable suspension. I think it just makes it the better car for most people. Because I mean, if you're buying an Avalon, you're not buying it to tear up a winding road. You're using it because you have a family with kids. You know, something comfortable and reliable and nice and quiet. So I mean, I think that's definitely the way to go. Or the odd choice is actually the Avalon Hybrid, which is also a top-line model, is also about 43 grand. It doesn't have the Touring trim, just has the limited trim, so it doesn't have the cool 19-inch wheels or anything, but still, that's basically the same car with a hybrid that gives 43 mpg to this car's 31 mpg on the freeway and 22 mpg in the city. So, should you buy the Toyota Avalon TRD? Well, no. If you want a sports sedan, buy a sports sedan. Or, if you want an Avalon, just buy the Avalon Touring instead.